I'm really just happy to be back here. My name is Brad Chad Porter. I used to run this fucking town.
Cognitive behavioral therapy, always a thought first, and then it's an emotion, and then it's a behavior. Okay, I'm gonna fix myself. I don't know anything about current events. Does anybody know anything about current events? I always wanted to be one of those guys who has their shit together. Strong men with strong jawlines. That's why I grow this beard. I don't want you to see my weak chin. Joke's still on me though, because the bigger my hair gets, the more I look like a wild man guitar strumming Muppet. Oh God, I'm ridiculous, I know. I've been married twice. First time I married a lesbian. I don't like labels. I don't think that a labely word like lesbian should be thoughtlessly attached to a complex human experience. And I can talk all night about the nuances of the human experience, but I'm telling you right now, the woman was repelled by my cock. It was a long fucking 20 years. I'm challenging everything just because a video game once told me to do it. It's like, challenge everything. I was like, oh, okay, I will. Fred Rogers' work and Sesame Street, where they would show process, you know, and so that's kind of what my videos are, is they're showing process. They're declaring my intent beyond myself as a singer-songwriter, you know, and they're saying, look, I'm part of a greater work. It's not just about me as a singer-songwriter, but hey, look, by the way, my singer-songwriter material fits into the greater story. So I think it's a greater work than just cool songs, and that's why I present it the way that I do. And I guess it's great that I'm telling it to the camera, because I could tell that to my audience. Did you know that both Liam Neeson and Alan Jackson drove forklifts? Me too. I drove a forklift. I've had a bunch of jobs, really. I used to be a cop when I was like 27 years old. All my friends, they told me, hey, you shouldn't be a cop. But I did it anyway. We want to know. We crave certainty. Did you ever hear Jimi Hendrix play the Star Spangled Banner at Woodstock? Jets and bombs and fire and explosions and people screaming, and he plays it all of that on his upside down Stratocaster. Jimmy was my first guru, man. He died when he was 27 years old, like Robert Johnson and Janis Joplin and Kurt Cobain and Jim Morrison, the 27 Club. You heard of that? I think the CIA killed them all. Probably had something to do with Nixon. I don't know. I just ask my friends to tell me things. I watch documentaries, and then I talk like I know things. The day after I was born, Richard Nixon resigned his office. Coincidence? I don't think so. What can we know? And how do we come to know it? Did you ever study philosophy? Did you ever hear of Plato's cave? Yeah, Plato's got this cave. It's weird in there. In Plato's cave, we're all tied up in there. There's a fire, there's a shadow puppet show, and we think it's all real. God forbid you ever get out of that. You go out there into the light, you see trees and green grass and blue sky and rain. You're so excited about it that you run back to the cave and try to help your friends out, but they don't want anything to do with you, not a bit. You're just crazy to them. They don't want to hear about birds or lakes or pine trees or raccoons. Shadow puppet shows, that's all they want. If you do believe that the earth is flat, here's the thing about that. It means that none of astrophysics means anything at all, like Newtonian physics. If you have any kind of respect for that, it's like, that doesn't mean a damn thing. If the earth is flat like a table, Dr. Anderson, my physics instructor, was lying to me for 2 semesters. And also, it turns out that Alex Jones was exactly right about like 95% of the crazy shit that he said. And that's why a lot of us are now, most of us understand pretty clearly that we are being lied to. I mean, the shadow puppet show. They say that the beginning of wisdom is knowing that you don't know a goddamn thing. Do you know how difficult that is? We want to know. We crave certainty. So here's the thing. If you seek spiritual guidance because your life seems to be so unstable, at the end of that journey, there's a guru up on top of a mountain saying, don't worry about it, no problem, let it all go. You don't need to add anything to yourself. You just need to realize that you are already enough. And that shit is exactly what it's like to become homeless. Because if you think about it, that's exactly what the guru on top of the mountain is working with, homelessness. One time, Jesus told me to sell my possessions. That is very upsetting to people. My dad called me on the phone when I was in the process of selling my possessions. It was a landline. Ring, ring. That's how phones sounded back then. We didn't even have a choice of ringtones or anything. My dad was not happy. Son, are you sick? What's wrong with you? One time, we went an entire year without having sex. I gave her naked massages for 1 year. No fucking sex. As we approached the end of our time together, we were having perpendicular sex. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I've never even seen it on Pornhub or anything. But it's just like, basically, it's just like, I'm here and she's here. And it's so that her face could be as far away from my face as possible. It wasn't good for, like, it was difficult. It was just a difficult time, is what I'm saying. One time, I looked at her in the eyes when we were having sex. I regretted that. She told me never look at me in the eyes again when we're having sex. She said it was too scary for her. Obviously, we're dealing with some trauma here. I'm traumatizing her just by being a man with a sex drive. This is what she told me once. She says to me, your penis is too small for any woman but me. And there's no other woman who would put up with you. You're lucky you have me. Just remember, any other woman would have a good laugh at the size of your cock. I finally did leave her, yeah. I met this woman at a trauma camp. I went to this trauma camp with a woman, and then she punched me in the face while we were having sex. What kind of loser agrees to this punishment? Me. That's me. I've been allowing these types of agreements. What's wrong with me? There's a foundational question. What's wrong with me? It's exhausting, always trying to fix yourself. When does that end? I got to go to this comedy show recently where Brad Chad was the host, and I got to listen to these brilliant comics do their thing. So grateful for that. Brad Chad challenged his audience to retell this joke as an inspiration for, I guess, getting through the holidays. Okay, thanks, Brad Chad. Here it goes. So there's this old man, he's in his 80s, and he meets this gorgeous 20-something, and she is just head over heels in love with him. But he is hesitant because he cannot perform sexually. He's very apprehensive about this. He knows the problems that can arise or not arise. Anyway, they're talking. She says, baby, they can do things about this. The doctors can help you. So he goes to the doctor, and they're visiting with the doctor. He says, yes, there is an option here. We have this new procedure. We are taking the trunk of a baby elephant and attaching it to men these days, and we're having some positive results. So he goes ahead with the procedure. He is encouraged by the love of this young woman. He feels revitalized in her presence, and he thinks, you only live once. Let's do this. So he has the procedure. Thanksgiving arrives, and they're all gathered around the table, eating, and these two are just lovebirds. They're still on their honeymoon, really, and she is just all over him under the table, and he's like, "Oh, baby, stop. You know how this gets." So anyway, she persists, and before he knows it, the elephant trunk comes up above the table, grabs a baked potato, and just goes right under the table. It stops the conversation at the dinner table cold. Everybody's just looking. Everybody saw what just happened. And the grandmother, she leans forward and she says, "Can you do that again?" And he said, "I could, but there's only room for one potato up my ass."
So let's get something straight right off the top. There is a chance that I die on stage tonight. It's not a big chance. It's not like 60%, but it's more than zero.
Labor and the expression of worth. Strengthening a tribe member deepens every tribe to which we are connected. Together, we are discovering our common work, our common stories, and our common love.
It's good to be back in Oklahoma City doing comedy. You guys all look... It's good to be back in Oklahoma City.